Hello and welcome to the CUFI Weekly. I'm your host, Kasim Hafeez. Hello and welcome to another episode of the CUFI Weekly, and this week I'm going to talk about a topic we've talked about numerous times before, but there is an added significance today. That topic is Iran, and specifically Iran's terror activities. Look, it's no secret to anyone who is a member of CUFI or watches the CUFI Weekly regularly that Iran has for decades now been spreading terror and mischief all over the world. Just recently, Israel's Defense Minister Gallant said that Iran has attempted over 50 terror attacks globally against Jewish targets in recent years. 50 attempted terror attacks at Jewish targets. I mean, firstly, it just emphasizes the anti-Semitic nature of the Iranian regime, but it also shows their determination and willingness to murder Jews wherever they are in the world. This is not new, however. Iran has been embarking on terrorism as a foreign policy objective since the establishment of the Islamic Republic in 1979. And we've seen their terror fingerprints all over the world, from Argentina to Bulgaria. We see today Iranian proxy groups funded by Iran all in the Middle East surrounding Israel. In Syria, Hezbollah in Lebanon. You have Islamic Jihad and Hamas in the Gaza Strip. But make no mistake, Iranian terror hasn't just targeted Israelis, it has also been responsible for the massive loss of American life. In 1983, the barracks bombing in Beirut was the single biggest loss of American Marines since the Second World War. And not only are we talking about the terror attacks that Iran have executed, also attempted attacks. Iran was directly responsible for an attempted plot to kill the Saudi ambassador to the United States in Washington, D.C. at the Cafe Milano. If that attack had happened, if it hadn't been stopped by authorities, it would have seen the deaths of potentially hundreds of Americans in our nation's capital. Yet even now, Iran continues this path of terrorism, this path of violence and intimidation. So what do we do about it? How is this still happening? That is why CUFI, and we talked about CUFI's legislative agenda last week, and we need to talk about it again this week, because CUFI is continuing to act. CUFI is continuing to push back against Iran's nefarious actions. CUFI is supporting the SHIP Act, which stands for Stop Harboring Iranian Petroleum Act. And basically, it is targeting one of Iran's primary methods of funding terrorism: oil. With all the sanctions, Iran is limited in its oil sales, but it is using illicit oil sales to fund both its terrorism and its nuclear weapons program. These sales are totaling around 1.2 million barrels of oil a day and are largely being facilitated by China. So the SHIP Act has seen over 50 co-sponsors join the bill since we announced our support for it at the CUFI Washington DC summit. And basically what this would do would sanction any entity, ports, ships, refineries, anything in that area that enables the transport and or sale of Iranian oil. We are seeking to cut off the supply line. We are seeking to cut off the flow of money to Iranian regime pockets so that they can carry out terror attacks, they can fund their nuclear program, and they can continue brutalizing their own civilians. This has to stop, and we are trying to put a major stop to that. We understand that targeting shipping companies, it's not the most, eye-catching piece of legislation, but this is one of the most important. Pastor Hagee, the founder and chairman of Christians United for Israel, recently said China is helping Iran evade sanctions on the Islamic Republic's oil exports, just as Tehran is simultaneously engaged in developing its nuclear program, backing terrorist organizations around the world, and aiding Moscow's war crimes in Ukraine. We must sanction every entity that aids and abets Iran's malign activities, and the SHIP Act is an important step forward in that effort. I could not have put it better myself. That is exactly what this is. We need to put an end to Iran's awful, insidious, and terroristic agenda, and this is one step in how we can actually practically make a difference. To learn more about the SHIP Act and how you can be involved, be sure to go to our website at cufi.org. This is how we as Americans can make a difference and make the world a little bit safer from Iranian terror for everyone. Until next week, this is Kasim Hafeez for the CUFI Weekly. For Zion's sake, do not remain silent.
Thanks for checking out this episode. Be sure to like and subscribe so you get a notification every time a new episode hits. And if you want to check out some of our previous episodes, and we've got some really good ones, click on one of the thumbnails and that will take you right there. And finally, if you want to know more about CUFI and the work we do, go to cufi.org to check out all the resources we have available free to you.